What's up, y'all? I hope everyone is well. Um, I feel like this is going to be a challenging what's up, y'all. Maybe, but maybe not. But it doesn't matter, right? Like, irrelevant of whether it's challenging. I feel like it needs to be said. I just got done reading an article out of the Independent in the UK, with a journalist who, and the only reason I found the article is because I get Google uh, links to content that says radical self love when it shows up in a search. And so this is an article um, uh, about a woman who is, who desires to practice, who's the title of the article is like radical self love feels as exhausting as dieting. And, you know, I'm very familiar with the concept of body neutrality. I've heard about it, and I I'm not going to actually say that I understand it as a framework. I get how in spaces like eating disorder spaces and work in the ED world, body neutrality can be a useful point of starting, a place to locate oneself, right? But there was a line that jumped out in this article that I think is the summation of my problems with the framework of body neutrality in general. And the woman in the article said, I would like to eat what I want and have my body look the way it looks without it having to be politicized, without anyone politicizing it. And I was like, she just named why this framework of body neutrality doesn't work for me. And it is because it's a framework rooted inside of white privilege. And it's a framework that only works for white people. Like, it's a framework whose value in the world, like, I'm just going to not think about my body. I'm just going to, when one decides I don't have to think about my body, I'm choosing not to think about my body. Part of what one is opting into, particularly in this framework, is a world where all of your other identifiers match the default status, where the world already sees you as normative in some way. So you not thinking about your body is this one place where you get to opt out of, right? Like, you get to opt out of this particular identifier, right? And the world will, depending if you are straight-sized enough, if you are thin enough, the world will allow you to do that. Right? It is literally a framework that only works for people with normative bodies. Right? It only works for people with default bodies. If the world doesn't code you as fat, you're absolutely right. You can be body neutral because the world is not going to be adhering its own definition of your body onto you every single day. If you're white, you're right. You can be body neutral because the world is not going to adhere anti-blackness to your body every single day. So you're right. You get to practice body neutrality because you live in a world that will allow you to be neutral towards your body, because if it holds enough default identifiers for the world to be relatively neutral to your body. Relatively. Now, be clear, all of these categories exist, they're all ever shifting and morphing and changing, and none of us get to completely opt outside of a system of body terrorism and bodily hierarchy. You're still in it, but its impact on you can absolutely be lessened if you fit all the default categories. So, right, I was like, oh, right, you want a body that isn't political. And the only bodies that get to not be political are bodies that the world already privileges. And that is why body neutrality is a problematic framework for me. Because it asks you to think about, like, I'm not thinking about my body. Great, wonderful. Will the world allow you to not think about your body? Your specific body? Will it allow you to not think about your body on a plane when you're buying a seat? Will it allow you to not think about your body when you're being pulled over by a police officer? Will it allow you to not think about your body when you're entering a building and you're not sure whether or not the building is accessible? Right? There are all kinds of ways every single day in which the world will not be neutral to our bodies. Consequently, our bodies are inherently political. And to have an apolitical body is to have a default body, is to have a body that is relatively normative inside of the systems of oppression. And so consequently, you get to escape the outcomes of that. And I am not saying this to say, don't try on things that help you if you are navigating eating disorders. But I am saying to think of your eating disorder as an apolitical experience is to erase the reality of why there is body terrorism in the world to begin with. Why you have an eating disorder. The messages that you received that had you believe the things that you believed about your body are part of a long and complex and violent system of colonization, ableism, anti-Blackness, and white supremacist delusion wrapped up inside of a crunchy shell of capitalism. That is why those beliefs came to be. In addition to whatever personal, lineal experiences that might also be, influencing that. So, your eating disorder is political. Your body is political. Bodies are political. And if you think your body isn't political, it's super political. It's the body that is being valued over my body. And that's why you don't have to think about it, because I have to carry the brunt of the politic of bodies in the world, while you get to think of your body as neutral. I really, really encourage, I have no idea if this author has read my book, but boy, I hope she does. I hope she reads Fearing the Black Body, The Racial Origins of Fat Phobia. I hope she checks out me and Kat Paze's edited book, The Rutledge Handbook of Fat Studies. I really hope that she digs into why her desire to have a body that is depoliticized comes at the expense of so many other people's bodies. And why body neutrality is a really, really sneaky way to say, I would like to continue to hold on to my little bit of privilege in a system of bodily hierarchy and body terrorism. Just saying. Bye.